Bring in Evan Siegfried. He's a political commentator, Republican strategist. He is in New York. Hey, Evan, good to see you as always. Appreciate your time. I know you were listening in to some of that cabinet meeting that happened with Trump. Lots of ground covered here. What's jumping out for you?
Well, I think the two things that jumped out at me, other than Doge and Elon Musk, were the Trump Gold Card, which is a new plan that Donald Trump has put in place that should be out in the next 2 weeks or so, according to the White House, where if you want and you're a foreigner to get a green card with a fast track to U.S. citizenship, you can pay a $5 million fee and have that really put you to the front of the line. That is something very new. And a lot of people are going to push back against that and say it's creating an uneven and unequal playing field. But we already have special types of visas for people who have high net worths and are going to be bringing business and other tax revenue into the country. Additionally, the Trump administration is billing it as a way to pay down the deficit. We have a multi-trillion-dollar deficit. And if you are able to sell just 200,000 of these gold cards, that would help in paying down the deficit a great deal. The second thing that jumped out at me was Donald Trump's previewing of what's likely happening on Friday when Vladimir Zelenskyy of Ukraine comes to the United States and visits Trump in the Oval Office and they sign a mineral rights deal. Donald Trump has been adamant about how we've been giving foreign aid to Ukraine since 2022 when the war began there, and that we really haven't gotten anything back. And in the new global order of things, we have seen Donald Trump become fixated, and rightly so, on minerals and rare earth metals.
The other thing is there were a lot of comments that he made, Evan, about our country. And of course, as you can appreciate, that makes a lot of headlines. Trump basically saying, look, you know, Canada needs to wake up and smell the coffee. They don't pay enough on defense. They have a small military. They rely on the United States to protect them. They don't pay enough for NATO. They have a huge trade imbalance with us. And they need us a whole lot more than we need them. What was your takeaway, his comments about Canada?
Well, a few weeks ago, we were coming up to the deadline for Donald Trump to impose 25% tariffs across the board against Canada and Mexico. But what we're seeing again is, remember, they were postponed by a month because of negotiations both with the Mexican president and Premier Trudeau with the White House. And the reason they were postponed partially, which hasn't been as greatly reported, is if you looked at the stock markets here in the U.S. as we came up to that 0 hour, they started to tank. The one thing Donald Trump views as the biggest economic gauge of success is where is the stock market. And if you start to look at the stock market next week when we come up to that deadline again and it starts to go down, I think you'll be able to see another deal that comes out and appeases the markets, because the one thing Donald Trump doesn't want to have a market crash. That would be his legacy.
And just before we go, what did you make of Elon Musk standing up at that cabinet meeting there with his baseball cap on and sort of holding court? He was the first person that Trump asked to speak.
Well, I think we are coming to a critical moment here in the relationship between Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and the United States federal government. Up until now, most of the Republicans have sat by and said, let Elon Musk do Doge and do his thing. But people have begun to push back because Elon Musk and Doge are the right idea, but there are questions as to whether or not it is being properly implemented and if whether or not there has been proper thought and expertise gone into whether what programs should be cut and what should not. Make no mistake, there is tremendous amount of waste and abuse and redundancy in the United States federal government. However, Elon Musk, while a great engineer, doesn't exactly have the same level of expertise that one would need in order to find that and root it out. So he's moving at a Silicon Valley, move fast and break things pace, whereas here in Washington, it might be a bigger, or a slower, I should say, and a more thought out process. The other thing that we are seeing with Elon Musk is that he sent out over the weekend an email to all federal employees saying, please respond by this past Monday at close of business with 5 bullet points of what you achieved in the last week. We have seen the Department of Defense, the FBI, the Director of National Security, or National Intelligence, and other agencies push back and tell their employees, do not respond to this. Part of it is because they have their own internal processes, and other parts of it are because where they were told to respond to is not viewed as a secure network. So it's easily hacked by foreign actors.
Joining us from New York, Evan Siegfried, Republican strategist. Hey, good to see you as always. We'll chat again.
See you soon, Todd.